Hey guys, in this episode we'll make the Rocketeer helmet. I went ahead and found some images. I wanted to see what the inside looks like, got some of that. The back was really hard to find, but I got some good ones. And yeah, let's get started. Found a little drawing that I guess somebody made. It's not super accurate, but I think it'll be a good start. So first thing, cube. There we go. And I'm just gonna go through and line up this cube. Alright, and now to shape it further, I'm gonna use a lattice. So for this part here, I know that this is wrong, so I have to look at the reference and see how it's shaped there. Now we need to create this shape. We can also place it here just to see if it lines up well, and that's good enough. We can always fix this a little bit later, but what we need to do now is we need to subdivide it more, because we need more geometry here, and then we need to cut the shape out and then redo these loops. So for this, I'm going to use a curve. Okay, that's pretty good. Now we need to place it here, duplicate it, place it there, and then do a simple loft. And my loft is going directly into polygons, and then we'll add some divisions this way. For this, what I want is I want to have more divisions in this object than the object I want to cut. That way I get a smoother cut. Okay. So now let's do a simple cut. We'll just do a boolean, and that's in mesh boolean, and open up the options. We want to do edge. This is the default, but it leaves the top and bottom, which I don't know why you would ever need, so we'll do edge. Click apply. There we go. And then select from this side and delete. Then we need to clean this up, and we also need to get rid of half. Clear history, and we need to get rid of these triangles. And then I'm gonna select this edge, and then click contiguous edges, which will create a loop. Then convert to vertices, and deselect the corners, and then I can just hit delete. So now we have our even loop. We can hide this. I'm just going to group this and put it into curves and hide the group, just in case I need to bring back the curves for any reason. Okay, so now we need to recreate these loops here, and what I want to do is I want to re-loop them or redraw new ones. So we'll just do this, and do we need this one? No. I'm gonna hit just backspace, not holding control. This will leave the vertices, so we'll have the curvature. Now, I'm going to actually bring back the curves here. So I'm going to duplicate this one to get out of the group. And what we need to do is line this up. And it doesn't have to be exact, we just need to line it up roughly. Okay, that's good enough. And now I'm going to make another loft. But this time I'm going to go to NURBS and click apply. And the reason I'm going to NURBS is because I want to create section spans so that I can recreate these loops. So this should be good. Alright, Now I can select these isoparms, just right click isoparm, select isoparms here, and then go into curves and duplicate surface curves, and then delete the loft, we don't need it. So now we have all the curves in between, and we actually don't need these two, put them back in that group. And then these curves we're going to project onto the surface like this. So the first thing we need to do is go into one of these menus. I always forget where it is. There it is. Project curve on mesh, and then so now we have this curve. I'm going to then select the curve and then the mesh, and then go back in here and click split mesh with curve, and now you can see we have a split mesh, and then we repeat. So let's clear history. Let's see, we don't need actually these curves here. All of this is garbage, and this would just hide, and it's going to be a little messy. See, so what we need to do is clean this up, but first things, I don't want to actually delete vertices by accident, so that I need. So I'm first going to merge them, so that, because sometimes things will get split but you don't see it, and then it will be a mess. So I'm just going to click merge, and in the threshold I'm going to put 0.001, that's a good number, and then clear history. Now we can select everything and then deselect the corners like this, just the corner points, and then just hit delete. This will delete any stray vertices and give us perfectly good mesh. Now you can see that looks pretty good, and you can see our edge flow is now flowing. And if you want to be even more kind of exacting, we can take this loop and do a edit edge flow, and see, so what it does is it splits the difference and doesn't change the curvature. And then we can do it on some of the ones going down like that, maybe just about that much. That's good enough. So you see now it's evenly spaced out. And now I'm going to duplicate. Right. Next thing, let's do the eyes really quick. So when I look at it, I can see that maybe we don't have enough resolution. So I'm going to duplicate this and save it as a version. I'm going to group it. I like to call it reference. I don't know why I do that. I'm going to hide that. So any like milestone geo I put in here, just in case. And of course, let's save. So now this guy we can subdivide safely. Clear history. And let's delete half. And when I'm working on one half of the object like this, I sometimes just separate the two halves. I know you can turn off backface culling, but backface culling still lets you select the back of the object, which I don't like to do. So I'm going to just click extract, clear history, and then just select both, take them out of the group that it makes, and then hide the back. So now we're working just on this. And I'm also going to duplicate this and hide it, because we're going to need it for the lenses. So now let's make this shape. I'm going to make it out of a circle. And I'm going to want to see the edit points. So display edit points, because I want to see if I have enough geometry here, and of course I don't. So I'm going to subdivide this more, the actual curve. So I'm going to select the circle here, go to sections, and let's see, will this be enough? Maybe. Let's try. Now we need to create a shape that we'll use to cut. Loft. Let's go to polygons and click apply. And so for this, my default value is always per span number of isoparts, but sometimes I want to go to 3D because right now it's putting a division on each edit point, but you can see they're not spaced evenly. So I want it to be spaced evenly. So I'm going to set it to 3D, and then I can drag and evenly space out some geo. 32 is good. We can actually go to 64 because this doesn't really matter. I just want to see the shape. I don't really care about how many divisions there are as long as there's a lot. And now what we need to do, just move this in and see where it penetrates the eye. So we'll have to turn off X-ray. And the other thing we can do is if we do a Boolean. Now, sometimes when I do a Boolean, I duplicate and hide, just in case I need to redo the Boolean for any reason. So I'm going to now Boolean. Let's do a difference. Nope. Union, and then we can actually change to difference, intersect. Let's do union. Alright, so let's change the order. So sometimes when the order matters, so this is white, that's green. So if we change the order, I don't remember what it was, like that, and do the same operation, it will actually be different. There we go. I'm happy with this. I'm going to delete. I want to delete this as well, so I'm going to double click this edge and then convert to faces. And delete. There. So this is the geo that we saved. I'm going to put it in reference. These we don't need. I'll put them in curves. Okay, so now we have a nice little geo here. And we need to clean this up. So now we need to start adding some cuts here. And everything I'm doing, I'm only using backspace, not control backspace, because I want to keep the vertices so that I have the curvature saved. And what I'm doing is just creating space around all the loops so that there's not a lot of bunching that could cause pinching. Select all the vertices around there and hit delete. And there we go. We have nice good loops around, and we have one nice loop around this whole thing. This will help us make the extrude that we need, which we can do right now. So let's look at some of the reference. Let's see how deep we have to make that. It's not that deep, and I'm noticing there's a little bit of a rim there, like it was pressed out, so I think that's going to make it look pretty good if we can recreate that. So let's try. First thing, let's extrude in like this. I think it's about this thick, and then extrude again to create a lip. Good. And then we'll add some bevels. here, set it to equal, and that's as far as we can go, so we'll go with that much. And now we need to do multiple, set multiple of 2, like that. And bevel here. Now, we'll just select this edge here, and then I'm going to do transform component, which will let us move it against normals, like that. I like it, but I think it may be a little too much. Bring it down, not make it so pronounced. And maybe just a little bit on this one. There. And we can also do this. I'm going to actually delete this loop. I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to push that out as well. Like that. There. Going to make it nice and round. Then we have a good eye hole. Okay, so now the next thing we need to do is we need to unhide some of the geo that we made before. So if we unhide this piece, what we can do is actually extrude it in. Not extrude it, I'm sorry, transform component inside. And you know what? Before I do that, I want to duplicate it, make it whole. Now, let's use transform component, which will then push it in, and we want to go just past that extrude that we did for the eye, just a little bit, like that. Good. And I'm just gonna assign a new material just so I can see it so that it's different. Okay. And we don't need the whole thing, so let's put it this much, and that. Alright, so that's going to be our visor for the eyes, and it should be, if it's going to be any kind of glass, it's a good idea to have it double-sided. So if we extrude it, like that, just add a couple of divisions there. And it's going to be reversed, so we need to invert it. Okay. That's good, so let's bring back the back, combine, merge, back, just the other side, combine, merge, soften edge, and also always make sure nothing small merged. Okay, that's good. Alright, so that's the start of the helmet. Alright, we need to make those rivets. It shouldn't be too hard. Let's see what they look like. Okay, just simple rivets, so we'll make it out of a cylinder. Let's do 16, And let's do a couple caps like that. Delete that. And here I want to make it quadded, so I'm going to select these two. Make sure keep spacing is off, and then holding V, just snap it right in there. And then merge, and then delete these two. There we go. Now we have a quadded cylinder top cap. Okay, now combine, merge. And let's round it off. Okay, and the other thing I want to do is I don't want it to be so perfect because it's a rivet, so it probably is hammered in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the vertices, and then I have a script called transtype. You can find it on Creative Crash. I'm going to turn on move, and there's a minimum and a positive, and then you can click model, and it just randomizes it a little bit. There, so you can see it's a little banged up, not so perfect. Alright, so let's move the pivot here, and then we just stick it on the surface. What I want to do is I want to actually make like a little bit of an indentation. I want to select that, select world, and just put them together. Now let's duplicate and group. Flip to the side. And just give some random rotations. We'll create a lattice. So this will be our Boolean object. So this one might be a little more difficult to make a nice clean bevel on the outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pre-make the bevel, and it's actually pretty easy. All you have to do is select the outside faces of the object you're going to use to cut and extrude it. We're going to use thickness like that. That should be good. I'm going to delete the holes here, then delete that. So this is what I have left. Now let's make some cuts here. So if we're looking at it, we need 1, 2, 1, 2, and then 1, 2. Alright, so that'll be fine. Okay. So now I'm going to extrude again. Like this. And save just in case it crashes. Duplicate, drop in reference just in case. And mesh, boolean, and union. And then we'll change the operation to see what works. Okay, that's gonna work. Alright, so now what we need to do is select the loops here like this. Oops. And then Control D, or Control Delete, I mean. And there we go. Now we have a boolean bevel. So if we delete all of this remaining junk, we can just delete vertices here. You can see that we have nice clean bevels on the inside. We just need to clean the outside, and that should be pretty easy to do. So I want to match this curvature, so I'm going to use a curve for that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold C and middle mouse drag, and then I can move each vertex along the edge that I'm clicking on. Clean this up a little bit. I have extra edge loops here. So I'm guessing that the thickness on the bottom should be the same as the holes that we cut. So let's do that, extrude that. So I'm going to duplicate this, drop it in reference. I have a version. I'm going to duplicate this one, hide the previous one, and I also want to hide this stuff because that's finished. And what I want to do is I want to place it into a group that I know that those parts are done. So I'm going to just group those, click and type finished, and hide that for now. Okay, so this piece is going to go from here . far does it go in the back? Like that. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a place to actually extrude from. So like that. Like that. And then I'm going to insert edge loop tool, relative, turn off autocomplete. That's going to be the fin. So now as I'm placing these, I'm trying to line them up to the loops on the bottom. And I can actually start closing these off. So now what we need to do is we need to get rid of these edges, vertices, and it's not actually that hard to do. I'm going to count how many we have. We have 7 on this side, so all I need to do is put 7 divisions down here, like this, and then we'll do that. And then just start going down the line. Now if we bring the helmet back, we can see where we made the cut here. So what we need to do is get rid of these 2 faces and these 2. Convert the faces, delete. Select this guy. And duplicate, flip to the side, select both, and then combine, merge, and soften and clear history. Then we'll take this vertex down here and just move it down. There we go. Looks pretty good. So now what we need to do is we need to add that bead, that soldering bead. And the other thing we can actually do is maybe just narrow this down a little bit. It shouldn't be too hard. This is what I want to do. Select. I want to taper the top. Let's put a lattice on it. I want to select the lattice in the base, and I'm going to rotate so it aligns to the top like that. And we're just going to scale out, move it over, Then select the lattice by itself, and then we can taper just a little bit. That's good. And I like it round like that. I think aesthetically it looks better when it's a little rounded. Okay, so to create the bead, we'll have to do a couple things here. So first, we need to drop a loop. See how this looks. That's fine. So back here, we need to redo this the loop here like that. So it follows the curvature. And now we'll add a loop like that. And then we'll need another one to contain it. So above that. So this edge here will be our solder point. Something like that. So we'll just repeat the process. This transform component. And you can see when I click it, the direction changes. And that's what we're looking for. And then in texture we can add like a little rib feel to it so that it looks like it's got little beads. And this one we can manually adjust. And let's put a little material in behind his mouthpiece there. So this will put inside curves. Hit this. Save. And then if we go back to our reference geo, we have a version there. Let's see which is our. There we have a low-res version. Duplicate out. That's why I like to keep geo in a reference group that I can always bring back. And all I need to do is use transform component and just push it in, do a little bit of a space, but not enough that we can't, so we can see inside. Now we're just gonna add a new material. We'll just do a Lambert that's black, not shiny. Okay, so the next step, we need to create these lines, and the best way to do that is to use a Quadro. And it's pretty simple. We're gonna duplicate, save version reference, and we need half. Alright, so to use Quadro, you just make the object live by clicking the magnet, and then we can just open up the toolbox, and use the quadra tool. And you just click, and you can hold shift to make geo in between.
Alright guys, so one thing you can do is you can actually use regular poly tools when working with a live object. So here is a technique that I'm going to use to quad this out, and what I did was I made sure that the vertex number here matched the vertex number here, as well as here and here, right here. And then also the vertices here need to be an odd number, so there's a 7 and need to match on this side. So we got 7. Now what you can do, alright, and now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, so we just need to add 4, turn off autocomplete,
Like that. It's a little tight in here. Don't worry, we'll spread that out. But once we do this, we then need to find the middle line between the 7, which is this one, and go down to the end, which would be here. And then from here we need to go this way. Like that. We can then select these radiating lines, delete them, delete that. So now I have quads, and the same on this side. Find the middle line, which is this one, go up here, and then just repeat going inside. There. So now all we need to do is make the object, I'll bring back this layer. I just added our live object to the layer. That just makes it easy for me to hide it. And then once you select the object, all you have to do is click Quadro again, and it will turn it into a Quadro mesh. And then we can just start spacing these out, and as we do this, they'll start to snap to the surface. And also switching between Viewport 2.0 and Legacy will change the way things display. So when you click on Viewport 2.0, it's easier to see if things are going through the surface. And if you click on Legacy Viewport, it's easier to see the actual mesh. So I'm going to keep working on this. And the idea with this is to keep this part of the mask of the helmet and then replace this part, because it would be too difficult to kind of connect all of these loops to the surface underneath. So it's much easier just to redraw it with Quadro and then only connect here. And I went through and made sure to line up the edges the best I could, so it's easier to connect. So it shouldn't be that hard. Okay, so now I can test it, and it's a little lumpy, but you know, I think that's actually pretty good because it kind of reflects the handmade feel of the helmet. So one little tip on reopening your file. So if you save a file that you've been using to Quadro, what will happen is your object will not be live anymore, and your the Quadro will not be in Quadro mode anymore. So what you have to do is pretty simple. Select the object again, make it live, then select your geo that you've been using to Quadro with, and then open the toolbox and then click Quadro tool, and it'll enter Quadro again. Any points you'll have will be lost, but at least you'll have your the mesh you've already made, so you can save that. Okay, so this is pretty much done. This shouldn't be too difficult to clean up, and this all matches pretty nicely, and up here as well. Well, what I'll have to do is re-loop some of these edge loops here. That should be pretty easy. And the next thing I need to do is I need to clean this up, because right now I have vertical lines going straight down across this diagonal. And what I want to do is I want to rearrange them going in this direction. Alright, so the way we'll have to do this, we'll have to rebuild this out of curves and then reloft it. Alright, so let's just start. I'm going to go to curves, use the EP curve tool. I'm going to go from here to here, and all I'm doing is just redrawing the... Oops, my autosave messed up my curve creation. Like that. Alright, let's try and make it live, and then what I'll do is I'll draw the curve first where I want to have the curve end up, which is here. Like that. We're gonna just recreate it by following this curve. It doesn't have to be perfect. We are going for like a handmade look, so it's gonna be a little lumpy throughout. And I think that's okay. What I'm doing is I'm matching the topology here. There. See, now it's on top of the geo. We can actually get rid of that one. And then we need to have the same number of edge loops or curve edges, or I'm sorry, curve points that are on this one, on this curve. And because I followed these lines, it should be pretty easy. There we go. Alright, so now we need to have this curve exactly the same down here. And the reason I'm doing this is because what we're going to do is create a bi-rail, which will let us recreate, create an object that we can, a NURBS object that we can then use to create some polygons. And you can see if I just use the CBs, it actually goes through the surface. But if I snap the edit points, it's going to be on the surface, which is what we want. So let's turn live off, and then let's hide this geo. Hide the finished. Alright, so now what we need to do to make this actually work is we need to make sure these vertices are snapping on top of each other. They need to be touching. So I'm holding V and just moving the control vertices, making sure they're snapped, otherwise the bi-rail will fail. Alright, that's good. So now what we need is to create a simple bi-rail. It's actually pretty easy to do. Once you know how to use one NURBS tool, the rest work exactly the same. So we need to find surfaces and find the bi-rail, and there are 3 bi-rail tools. Bi-rail 1 means that only one profile is being used. Bi-rail 2 means 2 profiles, one at the beginning, one at the end. And bi-rail 3 plus means that you can use 1, 2 plus any number of middle profiles. And this is the tool we'll use. And if we open the options, it has the same exact options that all the other NURBS tools have. And the only thing we need to worry about is this: output geometry, polygons, quads, general, going to set this to params, isoparams, and 1, 1. And then what we need to do is this. There's an order that you need to select things. And the order, you don't have to remember the order. All you have to do is, with nothing selected, hit apply. What will happen is the tool, Maya on the bottom here, will tell you in the help window menu, will tell you, okay, this is what you need to do. So it says select any number of profile curves. So you grab a selection, 1, 2, 3, and then hit enter. Then it's going to say select 2 rail curves, 1, 2. There we go. Now we have geo. Close this out, and if we bring back our hidden stuff, not that one. See, this one lines up, and also this lines up. Kinda. It lines up enough. So we'll actually recreate this on the bottom, and that'll be good. All right, so I'm gonna unhide this. I'm gonna actually hide that, and here. Okay, that's good. All right, so this is all good. What we'll need to do is actually, I'm gonna select these tools here. I'm gonna clear history on this, and these curves I want to save just in case I want to recreate this. Place them in there, and then what we need to do is just snap these. Just holding V. Down here, it's gonna be it's gonna get a little more complicated. So I'm gonna just add a dot right there, and then snap to that. That way we can at least merge for now. So I'm gonna combine, merge, soften. You can see this is what it looks like. It's lumpy, but also remember that the lumps here are coming from these loops here, which will extrude and the lumps will go away. So that's what you're also seeing. And the rest of the stuff kind of looks like it's hand hammered. I think I like it. Looks good. And I didn't forget, we have to make a scoop out of this. I have the geo to make the scoop, so all we have to do is extrude. But what I want to do is I want to combine this now with this. And the easiest way for us to do this first is to actually, I want to make sure I have a version of this helmet and actually both of this geo saved. I'll put that in reference just in case I ever need to bring it back. I'm going to delete this face, and then I can go this way and this way. Now I can hit delete. Except what I want to do is I want to keep this, because it's going to be harder to recreate that. Then what we need to do is we need to round this out. So I'm going to select up to here. I'm going to add a lattice, because now what I can do is select the bottom lattice points here and then just move that up slightly just to give it this curvature. Now it's time to combine. So of course save before you do any kind of big operation like that. Then combine, merge, clear history, and then for this I'm going to double click. Alright, so see that did not merge. So we'll do a merge just on those and then increase the threshold. There. Okay. And deselect these two edges on the ends, and then we can do a simple bridge. So now that's connected. If we take a look, we can see that looks pretty good. Everything's still it's pretty nice. You can see those lines. What we're gonna extrude. Okay, same thing with this. Alright, so now what we need to do is we need to extrude the bottom here. What we need to do is create a lattice because the outside is going to come out more. So we'll just take the bottom here and just kind of angle it. And you see we're trying to match these angles here. So that goes in. Do we need to do it here? Nope. That's good. And I think what we should do is get rid of this bevel here and re-add it later. So let's make our selection. Okay, I think we're ready. Let's extrude. Whoops. Okay, I want to make sure only what we want to extrude is selected. Okay, I want to round this out, and to do that we'll have to use delete this edge. We'll have to use transform component. Like that. So I just deleted those edges just to make a place to catch my edge loops. Like that. So the reason I'm selecting these edges here is because I'm gonna not extrude them, but just push them out, and they're on the inside of my of the bead. So now if I use transform component, I can push those out, which will round the bead. There we go. How's that look? Let's delete these edge loops, or these edges here. If we delete those, it'll actually give us a way to start connecting. I also want to delete this because I want to connect straight into there. And I'm gonna go from here to here, something like that, and then into there. Okay, I don't know where that came from. That looks good. Looks pretty nice and natural. This, of course, does not. So what we need to do is we need to gradually taper it, probably from like there down into here. So first thing, of course, we need to get rid of this. Pretty nice and clean, and you can see once we extruded these loops, everything else looks even because the loops are
are what were causing all of those little lumps. But now that they're extruded, everything looks nice and even. And what I want to also do is, this is, I want this to be round, so I'm going to select this loop like this, and just push it out. And I also want to move it, so let's slide it. So let's find slide edge, put it in the middle, and then just push it up like that, just to make it nice and round. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to add bevels for the bottom here, because we still need it for this section. And I'm going to delete this edge because I want it to be like a containment edge, because I want to add a loop here and here. That way I can add this back and then redraw this. Oops. Delete those. We have a nice little quad here. And you can see what it does. Kind of loops around. We can also do a similar thing here, because I don't need to have these loops on the back going all the way through. So what I'm going to do instead is select this loop and this one and just draw them into each other like that. And then I can select them, delete them. We have a quad here. You can see no reason to have them there as well. Okay. So we have a sharp edge here, round one there. A little bit of streaks there, it's not a big deal. See if everything here looks good. Alright, so the only thing that's left are the scoops. So let's make those. They're gonna be a little tricky. Let's see. Let's look at the drawing and see. Let's save, of course. Let's see. So I kind of went a little bit different because in the drawing the scoop kind of comes down like that, but I think that looks a little weird. So I made mine round like this. We'll see how that turns out, and maybe a little larger. We'll see if it's too big or not. So this will be where the scoop is. Actually, well, that's the outside edge. This is the inner edge. Right, so let's do this. Let's duplicate and hide, because I want to work just on the scoop. Let's do this. Let's go from here to here like that. Grow the selection. Invert. Delete. And what we need to do is create a scoop with a bead around it. Alright, that's gonna be one tricky thing to do. Well, best way to do it is just to actually do it. So let's go from here. I'm going to use a curve. See if I can do something with a curve first.
So let's go into surfaces, bi-rail, and this one, for this one we need bi-rail at once. So just click, open this up, go to quads, general, yep, that's what we want, and then click apply. It's going to say select the profile curve there, and then it says select 2 rail curves, 1 and 2. There it is. Let's just reverse it. Alright, so let's take a look. Let's see if this is working. Actually, I think that looks pretty perfect. Let's mess with some of the options here. We have non-proportional and proportional. So let's try non-proportional. Definitely not good. Proportional. Let's do 1, 0. Okay. So that's actually good. Now what we need to do is we need to add more divisions. Not this way, but this way. I'm gonna bring this back. I think I know how to do it. It's pretty good. It's all quads. Pretty clean. I think it looks good. And I do want to add a bead around the edge here, but to do that we first need to extrude this. Alright, let's bring back the rest of the helmet. And then we just need to clean this up. I want to add a bevel, of course. Alright, so now we can actually try and get rid of this loop, because we want to have a bevel there. If I delete those, I can then add a double loop with autocomplete, like that. I can then add that back in. Then select those loops, and then do a transform component. That's better. I like it sharper like that. Okay. So we just need to clean this up somehow. I think we can do this. Yeah, that'll work.
So what I'm doing here is I'm just using the split poly tool and just going from there into the middle and then back in here, like that. And then what you can do is go from here to the middle, split that, and then back into the corner, and then delete the two edges there, and it creates quads, and you can see how it falls off. Alright, so let's take a look at the topology. It's a little funky around the mouth, but you know, it's all quads and no triangles. We should check for triangles actually, so let's do that. Let's check for all the bad geo that we can have. And it's a pretty easy process. First, I actually want to combine these, so we have less parts. Combine that. It's separate. Alright, so let's name it. This will be helmet. Eyes. Mouth. And rivets. So it was probably more complicated than it should have been, but I think it came out pretty well because I really wanted it to be one piece, like everything is welded together from and made into one solid chunk, which when you look at it, it does look like it is, which is nice. See these nice bevels here, see the beads around, looks pretty good, and the topology looks pretty nice. I'm not too thrilled about this edge loop here, but it's not bad. It's not gonna mess anything up. I think it looks pretty good. So now let's actually see if we have any bad geo. So I'm gonna select everything, go into mesh cleanup. I'm gonna reset it just to show what the tool looks like to begin with. I want to make sure the operation is set to select. And I'm gonna click non-manifold geometry and click apply. This will select any bad non-manifold geo. That's really important to make sure that we check for that. Then I'm gonna select face of one of the four sides to see if we have any n-gons. Nope, no n-gons. And then I'm gonna select four-sided faces, click apply, and then select invert selection. And try and move something. Nothing. That means we have no triangles. So our topology is perfect. No n-gons, no triangles. Everything is all good. Can delete this layer, don't need it. Alright. Okay, that's about it. I want to thank you guys for watching. This was a lot of fun to do. I already have an idea for the next project, so please hit the like button and subscribe, and please leave comments, suggestions, ideas, and thanks for watching.